the truth. Don't miss, no spin, no script, just real talk with Chris. Cut the noise, break the mold, say the things they won't be told. Straight no chaser, no disguise, only truth behind these mics.
Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm going to show you how everything put in front of us right now is nothing but deception. Israel has apparently violated the ceasefire. It's no surprise that our greatest ally decides to go ahead and violate the ceasefire because our greatest ally has anything but peace in mind. Poured it on in Beirut, where there's buildings that have been destroyed. There's been casualties. There's no word on how many casualties at this point. Donald Trump, he is just blowing smoke up everybody's ass right now.
This is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon because as tough as they are, we want to keep them alive. We want to keep all of you alive. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't. And they've agreed to that.
He's so embarrassing as an American when, and I thought I was embarrassed by Joe Biden, but our country has not improved with the installment of Donald Trump. Every elected official at this point in the United States is a joke. It's so embarrassing to look at. It may be the end of the American empire if we don't wake up and do something about it here pretty soon. And by the way, the depravity, I don't even know if it's a person at this point, but Donald Trump covering up the Epstein files. Look at Pete Hegseth. He's looking at these kids. I mean, I don't even like the way he's looking at these kids. Movie here where we're all understanding that the Epstein class runs our government, hiding every bit of evidence and protecting these sick individuals. And we don't know what these people are doing behind closed doors. We know what Epstein was doing. It's sick.
We have to make a journey down to Iran to take the nuclear weapon. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. Remember?
That's what I was talking about right there. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. Didn't we hear that from somebody else before the Iraq war? That Iraq was going to have a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks? Haven't we heard the same bullshit spewed from foreign nations, from our greatest ally and their leaders about how Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks? I mean, how many times are we going to allow these people to get away with lying to us like this and allow our country to just be dragged through the dirt? We're not going to have much of a country left here pretty soon if we don't do something about it very soon. The majority of America, the working class, those of us that keep this country actually moving, those of us that are productive in society, even though you have to go to work every day to carry this country, and I compare our leader to leaders of Russia, China, and Iran, the three countries that are apparently our enemies, they're a lot more honorable than our own president.
20%, and we're up. The stock market's higher now than when we started this war. And I thought oil prices would go to $200, $250. It's at $100 now. And I think you're surprised, and I'm surprised. But even if it went to 200, it would have been worth it. I understood that. We had just said
the price of a barrel is sitting at $120 a barrel right now. He's saying that pretty close to double that, it'd still be worth it. We need to wake up. You have global energy markets being shorted. They're stealing your money. If you happen to be somebody who invests, they're taking your money and they're putting it in their pocket. We're concerned about a potential draft. I got news for the federal government. A mandatory draft, I don't think will go over well with the citizens in this country. I know what my opinion is. Trump, he had strategically positioned this ceasefire to subvert, because Trump went ahead and did this ceasefire when the 60-day limit came up, and it would have required by the Constitution for Congress to get involved at that point. Epic Fury, right, which some were calling Epstein Fury, to Operation Freedom, they're claiming is a humanitarian mission to take I believe that they're claiming food and resources to the troops serving our greatest ally. Before any of this started, there was no issues between us and anybody in the Middle East. It was all between our greatest ally and everybody else in the region. It's just going to destroy our country. And I think that that's the point of it all anyway. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this. Our analysis confirms that two anomalous crude oil short positions totaling roughly 1.72 billion were opened in the minutes and hours before public news that materially moved the oil market. The timing is documented. The pattern deserves investigation. I agree. I think the pattern of this does deserve an investigation. Now, will we get an investigation into this? Probably not. The same thing happened right before 9/11, and whoever was responsible for it was investigated by the FBI back then, but all of the information and the identities of the people have since remained classified. So we don't deserve to know who had foreknowledge of 9/11 enough to make billions of dollars off of the Twin Tower attacks. We have people that know they rule over us and know that we're not going to do anything about it, and they're taking full advantage of all of us. Go ahead and take a listen.
Just 1 hour before Axios started publishing very strange reports that a deal between the United States and Iran was imminent, massive oil trades hit the markets. At 3:40 a.m. today, 70 minutes before this report dropped, nearly 10,000 contracts worth of crude oil shorts were taken without any major news, equating to almost $1 billion. According to an advisor to Iran's supreme leader, there was never a deal to begin with. The entire story might have been made up.
This has been happening with Axios at least 3 other times that have been documented. You know, my question is, when Iran's done being disarmed, who's next? Who's the next imminent threat to our greatest ally if they do manage to get Iran out? They will siphon every resource from our country until there's nothing left. Oh yeah, and don't forget that Donald Trump claims they have no military, they have no navy. Iran's done for. We wiped out their nuclear capabilities. Here we are about a year later, and they're 2 weeks away from having a nuclear bomb. It's because there's so many retards that go along with this shit, and our media is backing all of this. If you think that Trump's telling you the truth, take a look at this recent CNN investigation.
Weeks-long barrage of Iranian missiles and drones. One of many U.S. military facilities in the oil-rich Arabian Peninsula, targeted by Iran even as the U.S. and Israel pummeled the Islamic Republic's large arsenal. So what impact have Iran's strikes had on America's footprint in the Middle East? A CNN investigation found evidence of unprecedented destruction. We can reveal that strikes damaged at least 16 U.S. installations across 8 countries. According to our analysis and sourcing, that's the majority of American military positions in the region, and some of them are virtually unusable now. A U.S. source familiar with the situation told us that they'd never seen anything like this at American bases, that these were rapid, targeted strikes using advanced technology. Iran's main targets? Multi-million-dollar aircraft.
What did Trump? He upped our defense budget for the year. What, $500 billion? Just $500 billion. We're just going to throw another $500 billion, just a half. We used to be in the realm of billions, right? But I guess since the debt is so terrible at this point and everybody's waking up to it, everybody's starting to understand, hey, something's going on here. Maybe our government's not really working for us. It's time to throw our debt disaster into hyperdrive and just spend this money as fast as they possibly can on as many stupid ass things as they can come up with. A little bit contradicting there to Trump's statement of Iran being completely decimated. Iran is strategically, and here's the other thing with Iran, they are strategic. They're using low-cost weapons to take out super high-cost equipment of the United States, our radars, our defense capabilities. We need to just get out of there and lick our wounds on the way out, because at this point, all that we have done is hit civilian infrastructure in their country, kill a massive amount of non-combative civilians in Iran, attempt to demonize them, and then attempt to make everybody here believe that we're destroying them, when in fact the reality is quite the opposite. This has been a very consistent pattern. When our greatest ally strikes something in Iran, every attack that Iran has launched has been in a counter attack, while Trump giving himself permission to continue this war because the state of the conflict has changed and there's no actual war going on now. So they don't need congressional authority to continue the war. In this next clip, we're going to take a look at Wyatt Reed. During the ceasefire, he took advantage of that time to go to Iran and to actually document what was on the ground.
This is Wyatt Reed reporting for the Gray Zone from Tehran. Tonight we're going to be speaking with Ibrahim Azizi. He is the chairman of the Iranian Parliament's National Security Commission. We're going to speak about some of the recent comments by U.S. President Donald Trump, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, and then we're going to get into the new regulatory framework that Iran is establishing over the Strait of Hormuz. We'll also discuss the viability of the U.S. military presence in the Middle East.
He has another video where he shows strikes during the ceasefire from our greatest ally in the Middle East, houses of worship for Jewish. So that was kind of enlightening. They had this strategy back in the Iraq war, where in Afghanistan and Iraq, there's Jews that live in these Arab countries too. They are allowed to practice their religion freely. There's actually many synagogues in Iran where Jewish people get to practice their religion freely. Their leaders are actually working on behalf of their people, unlike in the United States.
Ceasefire violation is fully legal and justified. Moreover, continued U.S. pressure will yield no results at this stage.
We took over the cargo, took over the oil. It's a very profitable business. Who would have thought we were doing that? We're like pirates. We're sort of like pirates.
Trump openly talks about how the United States is conducting ourselves like pirates. I mean, he's the fucking pirate. It just defies all logic. I don't understand how this can continue. And I don't understand how they still continue to take the moral high ground and demonize the people of Iran. They want to talk about we're trying to free the people of Iran. The people of Iran are very clearly standing behind the government of Iran. Unless you listen to Donald Trump, CNN News, Fox News, you would understand that the people of Iran actually support, well, the country's right to be sovereign. This decapitation mission to take out the Ayatollah Khamenei, Mossad, and CIA agents in there to go ahead and start riots. The whole 40,000 dead and killed by the Iranian government, that's a complete lie. It was just like the October 7th initial reporting, quietly retracted just days later. The damage is done already. That you have a lot of people just kind of fall into this initial report, which is widely spread and pushed out to everybody. Even people that aren't really interested get these initial sloppy report, and then they don't hear the retractions days later.
As you, he's delusional, narcissistic, and a habitual liar living in a fantasy world detached from our reality. But one thing is certain, his reckless, disgraceful actions will face their inevitable consequences.
Can you argue with him? And this is a leader in Iran. There's not a single member in the United States government that sounds like this guy, that's talking logic about this whole conflict. Not a single one. But this guy in Iran, the country that we're supposed to hate, that's supposed to be 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon for the last 40 years, he sounds a lot more logical. It's just true.
Supportive of this new framework?
From the very early days of the war, we had warned that if the Americans made a serious miscalculation, this war would become a regional one. One of the direct consequences of this regional war was the total destruction of more than 14 American military bases throughout the Bashar Zone.
That right there is a little bit more of supporting evidence right there to that CNN report that we just touched on a few minutes ago. It's almost like that metaphor that everything they tell you, it's the exact opposite. So when Donald Trump is telling us that Iran's completely decimated, what he really means is that the United States is completely decimated in this war. Damn, that actually makes more sense now. Everything they tell us, it's the exact opposite. The truth is the exact opposite. It's called inversion. Yeah, it makes sense now. It finally makes sense. I hope that you enjoyed dropping in with me today. I enjoyed sharing this with you guys. I know I get a little bit pumped up, but I really enjoy exposing the lies that are pulling the wool over my American people, the people that I care about, the ones that I want to see have better lives, my kids, right? We all share incentive in this struggle that we have been forced into against our own leaders. I will have more for you soon.
Where the truth don't miss, no spin, no script, just real talk with Chris. Cut the noise, break the mold, say the things they won't be told. Straight, no chaser, no disguise, only truth behind these mics.